More in the way of heavy rain producing showers and thunderstorms working across central and eastern Kentucky. We'll fire up live First Alert Defender to track the heaviest rains coming up.
It's become a major attraction in a southern Kentucky city. A large sinkhole has opened up, shutting down a major road. WKYT investigates juvenile justice. Will a new state law designed to keep troubled students out of detention centers have a negative effect on other students?
Tracking, alerting, protecting. WKYT News starts now with First Alert Weather.
Good evening. Tonight, heavy rain is still falling across parts of Kentucky, and a WKYT First Alert Severe Weather Day continues. The threat for flash flooding will continue into this evening. We begin with Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey. He shows us what he is tracking right now. How about it, Chris?
Yeah, a lot of threatening skies across central and eastern Kentucky. As we talked about, these waves of showers and thunderstorms just keep coming at us. So far, so good, and obviously we haven't been able to say that very often this week or for the past couple of months. We haven't had any renewed flooding out there today, though the skies are looking a little tropical over top of Lexington with that low pressure center that is working its way to the east. Flash flood watch will continue for several more hours into much of central and eastern Kentucky. Waves of showers and thunderstorms, eastern Kentucky, parts of the Bluegrass region, then back into Interstate 65, where we're seeing that low pressure as of now. Heaviest rains from E-Town up into sections of Washington County, Nelson County. That extends over into the BG Parkway corridor, Versailles, down to Lawrenceburg and points south from there. Heaviest rains in the Lexington Metro still showing up across most of Scott County. Georgetown, nice little rain shower that is in progress. Lexington, raining on the west side of town, a little break over downtown, then we pick up the action again across the east and southeast parts of Fayette County. Eastern Kentucky, steady rains are falling, no renewed problems as of yet. Fingers crossed that is the trend as we go through the evening. Parts of southern Kentucky seeing things beginning to dry up just a little bit. We'll track that area of low pressure across Kentucky, and I'll show you how the weather coming in behind that looks pretty darn good to kick off the upcoming weekend. That's in about 10 minutes.
That sounds good, Chris. Thank you. 2 weeks after we first told you about a sinkhole, tonight it has become so large it has now shut down a major road in Monticello. State transportation workers say the sinkhole under Main Street, also called Kentucky Business 90, is now 30 feet deep. They say the wet summer we've had is only making things worse. Phil Pendleton continues our First Alert Weather Team coverage from Wayne County.
It has created quite the surprise among many in Wayne County.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's a lot bigger than what I expected.
Daniel Piles can't believe what caused part of the city street to literally cave in.
Town's built on a lot of caves, and there's underwater, underground water streams that flow all through the county.
And it's water that officials say caused the sinkhole to swallow part of Business Route 90, the main route into downtown Monticello.
With all the heavy rains that we got, and the heavy rains is what caused the sinkhole in the first place.
It began with a small dip or break in the pavement. The sinkhole was actually discovered 2 weeks ago, and that reduced traffic to one lane. Then overnight, the hole got a lot bigger.
We've just had an unusually, wet summer, and it's been an issue all across the state of Kentucky. We've seen a lot of sinkholes that's popped up.
The sinkhole and the closing of the roadway has impacted a number of local businesses, primarily the Valero here behind me and a hair salon here just in front of me. Those business owners told me they did not want to talk on camera, but they say because of this, they are hurting. There's no solid word on when the hurting will stop, as the rain kept crews from working most of Thursday.
Right now, it's unknown. We've got to get all the bad material out and then start packing back in with all the good material.
The sinkhole is now 30 feet deep and about 20 feet across, but officials say it should not get any larger. In Wayne County, Phil Pendleton, WKYT.
State leaders say it will probably be at least 2 weeks before the road is repaired. Tonight, we now know the name of a man found dead in Clark County last week. Investigators think Daryl Weissman was murdered back in May. Police have made an arrest in the case. So why did 2 months pass without anyone reporting Weissman missing? Kristen Kennedy talked to his family today.
Daryl Weissman's aunt says he was always kind.
He was very tender-hearted.
And while she didn't want to go on camera for fear for her own safety, she did want to make it very clear that he was an independent adult.
It was not uncommon for him to take off with a friend and not call for weeks at a time, or as long as 2 or 3 months. Daryl was always one to do his own thing, And he was always saying, "Don't worry, Deb. You know, if I need you, I'll call." Especially if he hooked up with a female I didn't care for.
Not hearing from Daryl, the 2 months law enforcement considered him missing, according to Aunt Deb, wasn't out of the ordinary. News of his murder was. She says her nephew knew Roger Kinney, the man the sheriff says killed him back in May. He filed charges against Kinney late last month.
The sheriff says Kinney is still in custody in Ohio. He has to resolve his charges there first before he can come back to Kentucky and face a murder charge.
I wish he would die every day for the rest of his life the same way my nephew did. I pray for that every night, and then I pray for God to forgive me for having that in my heart, but I can't help it.
Weissman's aunt plans to bury him in the family cemetery once the investigation is complete. In Clark County, Kristen Kennedy, WKYT.
The Clark County Sheriff says he is unsure when Kenny will be back in Kentucky to answer to the murder charge.
A Facebook post by the Franklin County Sheriff asking drug dealers to turn each other in went viral, and tonight the sheriff says he's seeing results. We first told you about the post Monday night at 11. It asked drug dealers to report other dealers in order to eliminate competition. The sheriff says that post led to 2 arrests. Victor Puente has the story, new at 6.
A post that's gotten a lot of attention on social media has led to a bust for the Franklin County Sheriff's Office, and they anticipated leading to more. Deputies say they found more than 4 pounds of marijuana, some crack cocaine, a few $1,000s in cash, and some handguns at the home of Terrell Jackson and Anita Waddell. That's a home that also contains children. That discovery came a few days after the sheriff's office posted this flyer asking drug dealers to turn in their competition. They say the post was a bit tongue-in-cheek. They say it's also been effective.
That phone's been non-stop the last 48 hours.
Sheriff Melton says he got the idea from a sheriff's office in Georgia. He attributes this bust directly to the attention it's received.
I mean, at the end of the day, that's what this was designed to do, and that's the first one.
Jackson and Waddell came home while we were filming. They didn't seem interested in discussing the charges they're now facing, including trafficking in a controlled substance for the cocaine and trafficking in marijuana. Melton says that post has reached more than 200,000 people, and they have a stack of tips to follow up on.
We've made it hot on them, and at the end of the day, that's a success. And you know, if that was all we did, that's huge. But obviously, we're getting results now to show you exactly what it is within the first 48 hours.
In addition to those drug charges, Terrell Jackson also faces charges of being a convicted felon in possession of a handgun. In Franklin County, Victor Puente, WKYT.
Court workers tell us a judge released Jackson and Waddell on their own recognizance. They're due in court September 1st.
Massive overhauls are reforming Kentucky's juvenile justice system. They're designed to keep more students in class and out of detention centers. Under a new state law, many students who are accused of crimes will no longer be sent to jail or reform schools. But could that be dangerous for students who don't have behavioral issues? We ask a school administrator who was part of a pilot program for the new discipline policies. Mark Barber investigates juvenile justice.
Students who would have been suspended or jailed for nonviolent, low-level misdemeanors or felonies like drug trafficking or stealing could now go to therapy or counseling instead. The Administrative Office of the Courts championed the new law, Senate Bill 200, because they think too many students are being shipped to detention centers for minor offenses like skipping school.
It could even be as simple as working with a family resource center to help a child get an alarm clock to help wake them up in the mornings.
Many school administrators say their greatest fear is the new law will lead to more classroom disruption. They say students who want to learn will now be in class with students who would otherwise be in court or a detention center for their behavior issues, along with dropouts who will need to readjust to the classroom after spending months or even years out of school.
We're not going to just allow total chaos in the classroom.
Steve Hill is a pupil personnel director for Fayette County Schools. He was in that position in Scott County last year when they piloted the new discipline policy.
If behavior escalates, it got bumped to a judge. I mean, our teachers are professionals. They're all master level, brilliant people that will address those issues as as they come forward.
Alan Zolman has a different perspective on how the law could play out.
We had to keep the students, the disruptors, in the class to the detriment of the whole class.
He testified before the U.S. Commission on Civil Rights about how his students' behavior changed when their discipline policies changed.
I had a middle school 8th grader who just continued to talk over me. And she said, "I'm going to torture you. I can't be removed. I can't be removed." And so they know that they're in there and that they can do pretty much what they want.
Zolman taught for 8 years in a large urban school district in the Northeast that passed some policies similar to Kentucky's new law. He thinks the changes that happened in his class could also happen here.
It can happen in any classroom. You only need a couple of kids who don't want to learn.
When we took that concern to the Administrative Office of the Courts and asked if taking the power to discipline students away from schools and courts could lead to more disruption in Kentucky classrooms.
I don't have a good answer for that, in the sense that I'm not really sure. I mean, our hope always is that we give kids the tools and the resources and the support to make better decisions.
Hill says he's not concerned.
We're still going to maintain the code of conduct, the requirements of that, of children's behavior. We're going to make sure that that's followed. You won't notice a negative result of this.
So how will all this work? Groups called FAIR teams will carry out the new law. They will handle cases that are not violent with court-designated workers. FAIR teams, along with county attorneys, will decide whether misbehaving students will go to something like a talking circle or whether they need to be enrolled in mental health treatment or some other remedial program. The teams will also have the ability to decide if an offense is serious enough for a judge. In the newsroom, Mark Barber, WKYT.
The FAIR teams will be made up of people in the community and will include the pupil personnel director in each school district. The director can go back to a student's school with information about their case, but only if the treatment program the student needs is run by the school.
It's been a busy summer at Keeneland as the track gets ready for the Breeders' Cup. An update on some construction projects there in 7 minutes.
And what investigators think caused a fire that destroyed some vehicles along Interstate 75 this morning.
Wet weather continues across much of central and eastern Kentucky. Low pressure heading across the Bluegrass State. I'll show you the bad that leads us into the good in just a moment.